Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Black History Travel. We're here in Eatonville, Florida at the Zora Festival. This is an annual celebration that celebrates their hometown girl, Zora Neale Hurston. It occurs around January in her birthday every year. Zora was actually born in Notasulga, Alabama in 1891, but she spent most of her childhood in Eatonville and claimed it as her home. The Zora Festival is actually a multi-day, multidisciplinary event. It includes lots of workshops, events, book signings, but also culminates in this outdoor festival where you can buy everything from books, shea butter, clothes, and all kinds of wares. I've brought my friend Perez Carrillo along the way. He's an independent researcher and a Zorophile just like me. He's going to join us later on in the journey as we learn more about Zora and her life. I started the day in Jacksonville, Florida, so let's start there. This was my first stop on Zora's Heritage Trail. Let's see what's important about this house. In 1914, Zora Neale Hurston moved into the shotgun house that's right behind me with her brother John Cornelius Hurston and his wife Blanche. At that time, Zora had a falling out with her stepmother and father and moved from Eatonville to Jacksonville to live with her brother. Zora attended this church with her brother and his wife, where they were the deacon and deaconess, before she went up north to go to school. So Zora returned to Jacksonville, Florida in 1938 to work for the Work Progress Administration's Federal Writers Project. She was one of the few African American folklorists that came here to collect the stories of the local African American residents. It was a segregated office. The white office was at another building downtown, and this is where the African Americans did their research from. Zora would have the residents come here and she would record them or record herself singing traditional folk tales, songs, anything that she felt like needed to be preserved. Our next stop on Zora's Heritage Trail is St. Augustine, Florida. Let's see what's important here. Right now, I'm in St. Augustine, Florida, and we're walking up on a boarding house that Zora used to rent a room. Zora rented a room on the second floor while living in this boarding house. She also taught at the Florida Normal and Industrial Institute, as well as finished her autobiography, Dust Tracks on a Road, while living here. Our next stop on Zora's Heritage Trail takes us to Bethune-Cookman University, home of the Wildcats. Zora came here at the behest of Mary McLeod Bethune to try to open a school for drama. Unfortunately, this happened during the middle of the Great Depression. Zora was unable to have the proper funding to open an adequate school for drama, so she left shortly thereafter. All right, guys, we've made it to our last stop on Zora's Heritage Trail. This is Fort Pierce, Florida. This is actually the last city she lived in before she died in 1960. All right, guys, it's time to hear someone else's take on Zora. Please take a listen to my friend and researcher, Perez Carrillo, as he talks about Zora's time in Florida.
Greetings. I'm Perez Carrillo, and I invite you to learn more about Zora Neale Hurston, not just as a writer or as an anthropologist or as a human being, but all those things in the context of her unique and very interesting relationship with the Caribbean. We're here in front of the Zora Neale Hurston Branch Library here in historic Fort Pierce, Florida. Of course, probably the only Fort Pierce, but nonetheless, Fort Pierce, Florida. And outside of the library, there's this really great map that's in different parts of the city, entitled, as you can see, Dust Tracks Heritage Trail. But this particular map is really curious because it gives a quick, really helpful look at where she went in the Caribbean. In the Bahamas in 1929, which was a natural because the Fort Pierce that we're standing in now, and even many parts of Florida that she grew up in, were certainly impacted by Bahamian migration. We know about it in Miami, but it was all throughout Florida. You also have her trips to both Jamaica and Haiti in the 1930s, the mid-1930s, which is pretty interesting, especially with Haiti, because that's just after the United States had finally, after a 20-year-long occupation, had pulled out its soldiers, Marines, and banking officers out of Haiti. So that was interesting, Haiti historically, when she was there, and even took her a trip to Honduras. Honduras is certainly a part of the Caribbean story, and it's no accident that her Caribbean travels took her to Honduras to not only live but also work and write. So there's more to it, but we invite you to go and take a look more about. Just go online and take a look and see what you can find at the local library.
Zora has a lot of fans. It's not uncommon to find many kind of ornaments and articles left to her at her gravesite. Candles, necklaces. She loved oysters. She also loved hats. People also leave notepads. Zora died in Fort Pierce in 1960 after a period of poor health and destitution. Although she was a very famous Harlem Renaissance writer, folklorist, and novelist, most of her worldwide fame and acclaim came after her death. That concludes this episode of Black History Travel, guys. Until next time, catch us on Facebook and Instagram. See you later.